bertajuk Jom Pakat Submit yang akan disampaikan oleh Yang Berbahagia Datuk, Profesor Datuk Abu Bakar. Tujuan program ini dia jalankan tak lain tak bukan untuk berkongsi bagaimana untuk menghasilkan proposal FRGS yang berkualiti memandangkan persaingan yang sangat sengit di peringkat nasional bagi membolehkan permohonan FRGS itu berjaya. Kalau tak silap saya, ini adalah sesi webinar yang ketiga dianjurkan oleh pihak Renew selepas permohonan FRGS dibuka pada 15 Februari yang lepas. Izinkan saya berkongsi sedikit statistik berkaitan permohonan FRGS oleh pihak UiTM pada tahun 2021. Semasa ini Datuk masih lagi di RMC sebagai pengarah. UiTM telah menghantar sebanyak 684 proposal di mana sebanyak 206 permohonan telah berjaya, iaitu merangkumi 30%. Pada tahun 2022, kita telah menghantar sebanyak 759 permohonan di mana 164 proposal telah berjaya, iaitu secara kasarnya sebanyak 22%. Jadi dengan situasi ini diharapkan pada tahun ini, kitaran 2023, kita dapat mengekalkan dan malah meningkatkan lagi permohonan yang berjaya di peringkat nasional, dan diharapkan perkongsian oleh Yang Berbahagia Datuk bertajuk Jom Pakat Submit akan dapat memberi input dan membantu penyelidik untuk menyediakan proposal. Dan izinkan saya untuk berkongsi sedikit biodata mengenai Datuk, walaupun ramai dah mengenali, tapi kadang-kadang kita ni sebab orang sendiri kita tak kenal. Jadi CV Datuk ni panjang, saya akan share sikit berkaitan pelibatan Datuk sebagai panel penilai ni. Datuk ada, bagi Datuk ada pengalaman selama lebih 40 tahun sebagai ahli farmasi berdaftar dan juga akademia. Jadi saya nak fokus kepada pelibatan Datuk sebagai penilai. Datuk telah terlibat sebagai penilai geran di peringkat KPT dan MOSTI sejak tahun 2004 atau 2005 dan telah menilai lebih 1,000 proposal. Selain jadi penilai, Datuk juga merupakan ketua penyelidik bagi banyak sangat geran. Dan yang terkini yang saya dapat tengok adalah geran LRGS sehingga tahun 2025. Jadi saya rasa kita sangat bertuah pada hari ini, pada sesi perkongsian ini, kita akan dapat dengar daripada Datuk pengalaman sebagai penilai dan pengalaman sebagai pemohon geran itu sendiri. Jadi untuk sesi kali ini, kita akan bagi Datuk akan bagi taklimat dan kita akan menyediakan peluang untuk sesi soal jawab di hujung webinar nanti. Jika ada soalan, boleh unmute dan tanya kepada Datuk. Jadi tanpa melengahkan masa, saya menyebut Yang Berbahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Abu Bakar Abdul Majeed, Dekan Fakulti Farmasi untuk menyampaikan taklimat. Dipersilakan Datuk.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Terima kasih banyak pada Associate Professor Dr. Johari. Also thank you to Renew and RMC and Pejabat TNC PNI, Prof. Nur Azhar, for the invitation to share with you some of the salient points with regard to FRGS application. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning to all. Thank you for joining this talk. Hopefully we can learn something and most importantly, take action from what you will hear later. What I will do, try to make it as practical as possible because this is from so many years of looking at FRGS grant applications and also having, like Dr. Joe mentioned, having gone through the process itself, process of applying and also for LRGS having to defend at the KPT level. So I will do this according to this content, hopefully. The idea is try to induce as many people as possible to work towards applying for this FRGS 2023 because this is our opportunity. Everybody has the same chance of success. And most importantly, I would like to stress the importance of teamwork. For the FRGS team has to come from a team. So together we should sit down and write the proposal or look through the proposal together and then submit the proposal finally. All right, as a preamble, what I would like to say is that the latest budget presented on 24th February, just last week, we got to know that there's still money for research and development activities for 2023. So Alhamdulillah, that's good news. And the amount is 364 million. So this is what we hope to be able to tap into. Every one of us has actually a chance or the privilege or the right, not right, but privilege to try get some part of or some piece of the money. There are other grants also available. I will come back to this a bit later. And then we still are in the midst of 12 Malaysia Plan. So basically, probably about midterm review now. But as the document stands, these are the areas that are going to be focused or given emphasis in the coming years by the government, something that we need to know. And as usual, the suspects are like environmental issue, climate change, infectious diseases, smart cities, conducive urban quality of life and so on. So these are normal, also transport and water agenda. These are normal things that you need to know. And when you are proposing your application, please, maybe you want to mention some of these needs of the nation. Yeah. But first things first, make sure you visit this website. It's very informative website. And then most importantly, and is compulsory for you to register in MyGrants. If you have not done so, new lecturers, for example, please register in MyGrants quickly, and RMC will verify, and then you'll be given access to MyGrants website or MyGrants database, your own account. And then first thing that you must do is to update your profile. Make sure your profile is the latest profile in terms of as much as you can, the tenure at the university, and then your perhaps some papers that you've published, your research experience, and also probably supervision that you've done. But in any case, put something in your profile. Don't leave it blank, because the first thing assessors are going to look at when they receive your application is to click on your name to see your profile. All right. Next, go to this page to see the opening of FRGS 2023. So we are now in the middle somewhat before we submit to our RMC for RMC to do internal review, which is very important, also crucial. And here, go to under the menu grant penyelidikan, just click there. So you'll find a draw-down list of various grants. And then click on FRGS, because you want to know the latest, what's in the latest guidelines. So click FRGS and you come to this page. And this page gives you a very good introduction of FRGS. Read the philosophy of the grant, the vision, the mission, and definition of this grant objectives, and the different domains available for you to submit your proposal into which domain that most relate to your content of your proposal. And scrolling down, you have the syarat-syarat. Those who are eligible to apply, read carefully and make sure you fulfill this syarat. And then also the criteria of evaluation will be mentioned briefly, criteria of evaluation done at the university level and also at KPT level. Maximum budget is still 250,000 ringgit, and duration normally between duration of either 2 years or 3 years. And then please download the latest guidelines FRGS Amendment 2023. Yes, this is the document that you must refer to if you're keen to apply and to make sure that you stay within the boundaries of FRGS. Don't forget to download and read. At least you have to read from the beginning up to the application side. There's also an English version of this document, so don't worry. So this is document for 2023. There are some probably slight adjustments based on compared to 2022. So don't rely on document printed or document published in 2022. Yeah? Use this one. And it's always mentioned that as you are reading that document, FRGS 2023, you also should refer to these two documents. The documents are available from MOHI website and also from Academy of Sciences website, yeah? The Malaysian Code of Responsible Conduct and Research. So these documents are to be read together as a preparation to do your proposal. Yeah. So now the application. How do you even think about applying for those who have no idea of where to start and what to do? So where and how do you start? I think it always start with a problem statement. Yeah. Whether it's a compelling problem statement or it can be a current problem statement. This problem can be of national interest. For example, we know now the pandemic, flood, road accident. These are common things that you hear or you read in newspapers or in the media every day. So these are actually problems that have not been solved yet. That is inflation, yeah, unrestrained. It can be closer to you, meaning unresolved issue in your own research area. And it can be at a very micro level because this is fundamental research after all. For example, in management, why there is still low level of women's presence in board of directors of companies, for example. Also, recently there was an issue of small number of non-Malays in public service. Is this really an issue? And if it is, what's the reason and what are the causes? And then for those doing, physics or engineering, probably we still have problem with the short life of batteries. For example, lithium batteries, still people are working on extending the life of these batteries after every time it is charged, for example. And it can also be a novel extension of your current work. You have done something, now you start to think, what if I change, some of the components? What if I move towards, this objective rather than the current objective? So it can also be that kind of work or that kind of problem statement that you're trying to solve. Or it can also be a new model or method that you have in mind. And this method or model can help solve problems in the industry or community. You want to do simulation, AI and machine learning based approaches now very much look upon. So the problem statement can be plenty. I can tell you, if you discuss, talk among friends, talk among peers, definitely there are things that you wish you could solve. Yeah? So make this your problem statement, make it very clear. And then from there, for example, this is a document of the budget recently. If you want to find issues again, read this document. I think Secretariat will be able to share with you this document later. These are the issues mentioned in budget 2023, and definitely these issues are current issues that need to be addressed, and the government is putting aside some money for each issues to be addressed. So if you propose something related to what is mentioned in the document, of course the budget document is huge. If you have time, you can look through, but you can also refer to these touch points so that it's a kind of a good summary of what and where you should focus your application into. And once you have that problem statement set, of course, the next thing is how to solve the problems, definitely. And this can be done through coming up with research questions. As much as possible, try to make these questions start with how or why, because these are considered to be fundamental. You want to look deeper into the subject matter. So prepare research questions, 2 or 3 research questions should be enough. Yeah, good research questions, very, again, powerful research questions. And then from those research question, just turn around the question to make it into a statement, just a sentence or a statement. That will become your objectives, right? So with this, your research questions will match your objective. One research question, one objective. Two research questions, two objectives. Three research questions, three objectives. So when they match, it looks like you know what you are going to do. Next, you know the objectives, then how do we try to achieve the objectives? Of course, we have to have a method or methods or planning, and this will be how you write your methodology later. And you can start the methodology by doing a flowchart, which is also a requirement for the FRGS application. Then only you can start adding research background. I'm sure research background is something that you already have, probably from your previous thesis or your previous papers. This is something I think you must have at hand, yeah, definitely. Lots of literature review, they're already there in your mind, in your notes. So bring them up, take them out, and write your research background. And if you have some preliminary results, this will help a lot your proposal, because this gives more confidence to the assessor that you have started something, now you are moving further. And this means there is less risk in giving you the money, because you have shown some possibility that the project will be a success. So mention preliminary results, regardless whether they are in the form of something that you have published, something which you have not published, but make them or put them into graphics so that easier for the assessor to see the intensity or the significance of your preliminary results. Yeah. Then think about the budget. How much do you need? And make sure the budget, or some votes, good to have quotations already, which you can get by contacting suppliers, giving them the list of items you wish to buy, consumables, for example, and ask them to provide you with the quotations. And these quotations you can upload in the My Grants form. As much as possible, try to have letter of intent from collaborators. Good if they are the industry, or maybe NGOs, or even government agencies as listed in the document, in the guidelines of FRGS. So try to get an agreement that they will be able to support you. If you have any problem of identifying these companies, maybe you can talk to RMC, your deputy deans or deputy directors of ICANN. Maybe they can provide you with potential, LOIs. I think for pharmacy, if you need any potential collaborator, talk to our Deputy Dean, Professor Kalavati. Also related topics in this area, maybe you can refer to her for collaborators. Yeah, we have got offers by industry that they wish to come and collaborate with us in projects related to their area of business. Yeah. And last but not least, then you prepare your executive summary. After having written everything, then you prepare your executive summary. Of course, you have to fill up also the other parts. For example, the expected talent development, what you're going to produce, PhD or masters, how many papers you're going to produce, the impact of your outcome on national agenda, on the different stakeholders like the government, academia, industry, and so on. So all those parts must be filled up. But I think these are little parts after you have done the major parts that I mentioned previously. Yeah. So as you're doing your form also, think about how your proposal is going to be evaluated, so that as you're writing, you're just trying to fulfill the needs of the assessors when they have to do the evaluation, because they do evaluation based on also specified rubrics that they need to grade whether you've met the rubrics requirement or not. So they have a form that they fill up. So as you are doing your application, try to satisfy what they have to assess. Yeah. So let's now talk a bit about the review process. As you know, this is what we call a single blind review, because the assessor would know you, but you will not know the assessor. So this is the best that I think migrants can do at the moment, single review. Of course, double blind would be the best, but there are technical issues with regard to double blind reviews. So what are assessors at KPT level looking for, or MOHI level looking for? This is from my experience, having done a lot of assessment and spoken to many assessors during official time and also during informal interactions with them. Yeah. So some of the things. Okay. Before that, these are the things that the assessors will have to grade or to judge you. Yeah. Beginning with the title. Of course, the title I did not mention, but the title will normally be done again last. Even sometime after you've done your summary, because the title is actually the summary of the executive summary, more summary of the executive summary. Executive summary of about 300 words, for example. Now you want to condense into about 10 to 15 words of title. So think about that. These words has to be, very strong and reflecting of the work that you're going to do in the form of novelty and also newness, that the project is new to be done. So make sure the title already reflects the content also. So with these two requirements, if you fulfill, then the assessor will say, yes, good. Next, they look at the executive summary. So executive summary, I must emphasize, remember these 5 items that must be there. All right. First, start with problem statement. So when you write your executive summary, common mistake is that you tend to write lots of introduction. You give lots of data in the introduction. Sometimes demographic data, sometimes prevalence data, and so on. So you need not do that in the executive summary. Best to start with probably one introduction statement, then straight away followed by the problem. What's the problem? So this problem can come as 1 or 2 statements, and make sure this problem is really very important problems that need to be addressed, so that the assessors are really pulled or attracted to your problem. Don't make this problem as, biasa. Make the problem really important, significant, and a problem that really is requires immediate attention, basically. Yeah. Then after the statement on the problems, you then write your objectives. Yeah, objectives 1, 2, 3. You can do it in, for example, numerical 1, 2, 3, or objective 1, 2, 3, and then followed by methodology. For methodology, you can incorporate the methodology into the objective. For objective 1, we're going to use this method, objective 2, another method, and so on. Or the methodology can also stand alone. Yeah? After objectives comes the methodology, if I think the methodology is common to all objectives. This is to be followed by the expected outcome or output or implication, and then you complete your summary with significance of that output. So these 5 items, remember, make sure they are visible in your executive summary. So don't write too many things which are not relevant and not part of these 5 items. If you wish, you can even highlight as subtitle, problem statement, underline, and then write these 2 or 3 lines of problem statement. Then put objective, underline, and then write your objectives. So this will bring out these 5 items, and the assessor will easily mark them as having fulfilled. Yeah. Next, your research background. These are the criteria that they are looking for. For example, an elaboration of the title, and then you have to again clarify a problem statement, relate the statement to the research questions, and make sure that you have cited most recent, and don't underestimate this importance of this. Yeah? Make sure you look through references of up to 2023, the latest in your area. So cite these references. I would think a general guideline is between 15 to 20 references to be sufficient to reflect your research background. Don't have too many. Yeah, and the background also probably at this point you can relate to government policy, national agenda. So you write something towards the end of the background that this project, if supported, will be able to reduce, some kind of problems, mitigate, disasters or reduce morbidity and so on. So this will be in line with the government policy and relate to any government policy. You can relate also to SDG and other related initiatives. Yeah. So research background, not too long, not too short, just nice for the assessor to understand the reasons, the background to you wanting to go into this journey, a research journey. Next is objectives. Write objectives in a very clear, concise manner, and they should be attainable also with a SMART concept. Yeah. And these objectives I mentioned earlier, if you have research questions, make sure the objectives totally map or match the research questions. And methodology, you have prepared a good, write-up with the flow chart and then your Gantt chart, and then with activities and milestones. Make sure activities, they can be quite detailed, but milestones are specific, major part or major accomplishment in your total research, the total research period of 2-3 years, for example. You arrive at milestones maybe after 6 months or 9 months. Make this milestone specific and very, very significant point in the research, during the research period. So the methodology, good if you can relate the methodology to the objective, how they're going to be assessed and how they're going to be measured, for example. If you do field work, then you have to show also how you derive your samples, what basis, and then also how you derive the N number, using which formula. So this need to be highlighted so that the assessors are clear that what you're going to do is reasonably attainable within the period that you have planned for. Then expected result, you must always highlight what would the new theory or findings be from your research. Mention that the new theory would be or the new findings would be what, so that assessors will not have to dig into your proposal that much, as you already tell them what the new theory is expected to be. And then highlight your intention to publish and make sure you meet the minimum requirement as prescribed by FRGS. I think only 2 are required, but one must be in WOS journal. And then if you do 2-year project, then you should train 1 master's, 3-year, 1 PhD. Of course, PhD train is of higher value than a master's train, yeah. And then here you have to also put in the impact on society, economy, nation, as per you seem fit. Yeah? You don't have to satisfy everyone. There are now quintuple helix, society, and then nation, academia, environment, industry, for example. Just write down if your project is going to impact any one of these stakeholders. Yeah. But again, most important part here is to highlight the fundamental of your work, the fundamental nature of your work, because FRGS is all about fundamental research. So new theory, new findings, novelty is very much look to be look into your proposal. Track record is important also. That's why you must highlight or you must update your profile. This is where they check the profile of your USPI and also all your collaborators. Make sure your collaborators also would update their profile. It's important, yeah. And then should be a well-balanced team in the sense that maybe junior, senior, as much as you can, yeah. And qualification is important because to see some previous experience that you've done in the area, so you need to be someone who is considered to be relevant in terms of the proposal that you are doing now and the past work that you have done. The quality, again, this is something which I think should not be overlooked when you're writing. make sure take care of the grammar, the sentences, spelling. Even these little things can make or break your proposal, because in the end, as mentioned by Dr. Joe, the percentage of success will be about 25 to 35%, and sometimes assessors will have to, very much compare between a good and a better proposal. So this may go down to that level of language. Yeah. So make sure you don't have any issues with language. I think now we don't have any, should not have any problem. We have Grammarly, we have other options for us to check and reduce silly mistakes, because meticulous means your proposal is totally almost perfect. Yeah. And formatting presentation must be done very well, because some of the proposals, they do flowchart very nicely. They do methodology, from the flowchart. Other diagrams that they included, they're all very clear. Yeah? So this shows good presentation. And again, this is another place where you to highlight the novelty, the cutting edge, high impact. You must write something here to show these elements, to reflect this element, though already mentioned a bit previously, but here really highlight on why your project should be considered better than many other projects. If success is 25% out of 4 proposal, only 1 can be supported, why yours is better than the other 3 that will be rejected. Yeah? So this is a very crucial point for the assessors to consider. So you see, every criterion, we need to say whether you've met or you have not met. So if you have any X put there in the X column, then possibility of success is going to be reduced definitely. And then when it comes to marking, the marks will be based on whether you have fulfilled or not fulfilled. And in the end, over 100, for example, for selection or prioritizing, of course, those with higher marks will get supported or recommended or highly recommended. So be very careful of all this content, which you can get from RMC, the assessment criteria. So some examples of insights or comments from grants assessors. These are just statements, because as we are doing the evaluation, we normally meet up together at one place, and then we sit down in front of the computers to do the assessment. And then of course we have breaks, morning breaks, lunch break, tea break, and this was the time when assessors meet up, have coffee, tea, and sometimes you hear comments, whether they intentionally or unintentionally, you hear comments like this. Yeah. To some assessors, the abstract must sell the grant, meaning the executive summary is the key. Of course, assessors, they have sometimes plenty of proposals to look at. They try to look at as meticulous as they can, every proposal, definitely. But there may be proposals that really attract them very quickly, and initially, surely they're going to focus on these proposals. They look at the title, and then they look at the abstract. So the abstract or summary will be able to sell or not sell the proposal. And spend time on the summary, make sure it contains all the 5 elements mentioned earlier, and make sure the problem statement is really the attraction of your executive summary. Make sure they are focused and very clearly highlighted. When you're writing, don't think that you're writing a paper for a journal, which can be very detailed and very lengthy. When you're writing your background, it is just to provide enough information to the assessor. Many of these assessors would have known anyway what you're writing about, the background, just to give a bit of your perspective of the project, your perspective of the background. You want the assessors to feel that, wow, this is really a proposal. I should have thought of this. I should have submitted this proposal, not this PI actually. So you want that kind of thought coming through the assessor's mind. Yeah? And so some assessors, they say, as they are reading, actually they are learning. So the proposal is actually teaching them more. And that's the kind of sentiment, if developed or if raised in their heart, that's the, the reasons why they're going to support your proposal. Don't make the assessor feel bored going through your write-up. The write-up must have some flair, therefore. So it cannot be like very repetitive words, repetitive expression, repetitive statement. So avoid these things. You can actually write a good proposal by referring to thesaurus, for example, with use of different words that have the same meaning, yeah, synonyms and so on. So try to have a bit of effort, make a bit of effort in writing a good, nice, not bored proposal, yeah. So common mistakes, for example, mentioned the announcement. That's why you have to read the guidelines of FRGS. So you understand the announcement, the program announcement, the scope of FRGS. Then the writer is not up to date with what is happening in that area. So you have to, that's why I say if you put in, references up to 2023, it shows that you are keeping in touch with what's happening in your area. The project is too ambitious, for example, too global. So you need not try to solve the global problem with a stroke of your proposal. Definitely this cannot be done. The proposal can look into problem statement as mentioned earlier, very detailed, minute problem statement related to your area. So when you're trying to say the significance impact will be just to understand further that area if you do the research, not that your research will solve food security problem, for example, just by one research. Maybe that seems to be too ambitious. So you can scope down your benefit of your research to very practical purpose, Sometimes research plan is vague, meaning, yes, this is common. Sometimes from the title, assessors already feel, I mean, what is there to look into? It's kind of vague. It's not clear. It's kind of also not specific, yeah. And you don't want the assessors to be guessing what you're trying to do, because from your point of view, I'm just writing. I know what I'm doing, so trust me, give me the money. But from the assessor's point of view, what are you trying to do? The statement or for example, title as mentioned previously by Prof. Ismail, title is open-ended. There's no purpose in the title. There's no definite issues in the title. So don't have this kind of vague title, vague abstract, vague problem statement. PI may lack competence in doing the research. So this they probably assess from the profile that you put up, or the lack of profile that you forgot to put up. So these are the other things mentioned. So plenty of things. But for example, the second paragraph saying is that the reviewers feel that if there are too many mistakes, for example, in the proposal, they know it's a kind of a last-minute proposal, and they would not be interested in last-minute proposals. So don't make them have this kind of perception towards your proposal, yeah? Again, you have to balance of the amount of information you want to give to the assessors, not too much, not too little. Just it's a storytelling to impress the listener that your story is worth supported, yeah? And always from the problem statement, we know we always have purpose, a reason to do the project. Don't make the assessor feel that they cannot see the purpose or the reason for doing the project. So, for example, the other key points also mentioned, yeah. For example, write simple, nice, like I mentioned, flair, easy to follow, easy to understand. Lay out the key points, with subheadings, for example. Visual illustrations would help the assessor very much, because instead of lengthy words, if you put up in graphs or charts, then assessor can quickly understand and know what you're talking about or writing about. And of course, other advice given is that you must, again, emphasize, understand the call of the program, the FRGS guidelines, study them, and then make your proposal easy to read, and you have to start. Right now is the good time to start. Don't wait until the last minute. And make sure you are, again, at the top of everything
Cermin.
in that area. You are aware of the latest research findings, the latest publication on that particular subject. Don't make the assessor find out that what you're trying to propose has already been settled or been done elsewhere. And make sure sometimes assessors may not be directly in that area, but they still have to do the assessment. Make sure that there is possibility that even a non-expert can understand your proposal clearly. Yeah. And when doing at ITM level, if there's there will be requests for you to revise and resubmit, Do that as many times as required by your internal assessor. Don't ever get bored or don't ever get disappointed with comments. Try to be positive, try to respond to those comments and improve your proposal. I've seen proposals from top universities having gone through between the applicant and also the assessor at the university level 8 times, So this coming from a top school in top university in the country. So the PI never felt, tired, just kept responding to the assessor, and finally he was able to submit a very beautiful proposal which was supported. So from the assessor's point of view, they have so many to look at, and chances like maybe 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 sometimes, they have to find reasons for rejection sometimes. They come in with that idea, how to reject, not how to support. So how to reject is their primary objective. And they find faults. And that's where you don't want to provide to them the faults, the mistakes, the errors. So avoid those errors which we have discussed, meaning errors which are really avoidable. There's no point. It's almost like, soalan bocor lah. You know what not to do. You know what errors not to do, not to make. So don't do those errors. Errors in terms of, grammars, sentences, misquoting and so on, So if they find something wrong, then reason to reject. So you want to give them reasons to support so that even with that idea to reject, as they are reading, they start to become interested in the subject matter. So how do you attract them from your writing, from title to summary and going down the form further, keeping their interest all the time in your project, in your proposal, so that they will in the end support. They will not find any problems in the budget, just nice, in the activities, just great, in the milestone, just perfect. So these are reasons why they keep on reading, and in the end, definitely there's only one way for your proposal, that is to highly recommend your proposal. So you must avoid assessors from finding any reasons, any loopholes for them to reject your proposal. Again, if you look into the guidelines, FRGS guideline 2023, follow them to the letter, you'll make very much less mistakes, compared if you just dive into the form without understanding the background and the purpose of the grant. So a winnable proposal should have qualities like this. For example, you can see the document, it is neat, well organized, easy to read. Yeah. And then it really responses to the call of proposal, call for proposal, CFP, is very much in line with FRGS. So when you are thinking about this, you start to avoid applying by focusing more on applied aspect of the proposal. So this is fundamental. So highlight fundamental, Application can be a bit, because there is also a question, what are the potential applications in the coming several years? You have to mention, but let that be, something which is not too visible in your title, in your summary and so on. And then again, this thing called fresh insight, something that you propose, think about something which is different, something which is really new, not like what has been done before. Many things have been done before by others, and we want to go into that. So that becomes a bit of a bore and a bit of a, me too kind of approach. So you want to do fresh new ideas. Think hard about this, maybe spend one whole night thinking about it, and then only that problem statement and how to solve. So this is the fresh insight that if you can provide to the assessor, then they will be very much interested in your proposal. Then along writing this proposal, the assessor probably can also sense your enthusiasm and also your commitment, based on the quality of your proposal, based on the amount of work you put in your proposal. That reflects already your commitment and evidence that you know your field, again, through your previous research and also publication and supervision. And prelim data, like I mentioned, would be very helpful, useful, and this can convince assessors that if they give money to you, the risk is very much reduced. And then the work plan must be able to be seen as doable, and the budget requested should be appropriate. So these are some of the important points with regard to highly successful or highly winnable proposal. I mean, it's not rocket science or anything. It's just something that you have to do. And when you do it, you feel that, you feel that completeness when submitting. And that is hopefully reason for them to support your proposals. There are some ethical, consideration that you need to take into while writing this proposal. Yeah, I'm just putting up some of the things. Plagiarism, please avoid altogether. Do not submit anything that has been submitted by others, done by others. You've probably been part of a team that submitted previously, failed. Now you're submitting as PI. Again, don't use the same material, same approach. You have to write something totally new, totally different. Make sure do not waste animals. For example, if you're using animals, because assessors would know that you may not need use animal in certain part of your project. Yeah. Always have reason why you include people into the proposal. Your co-researchers must always have something to do, not simply as a, kind of a passenger. Mention about ethical approval that you will request from the Research Ethics Committee before you start the project, if you are supported. And this is allowed in the proposal. Just write that you will apply for the ethical approval only after you've obtained the fund successfully. Then you have to submit this approval within 6 months after getting the grant, and submit this letter to KPT. For the reviewers also, they have been trained or they've been taught to observe ethics from their point of view, because sometimes they look at proposal coming from institution they have some link to. Of course, they cannot do their own, but they may be consultant to the institution. They've given talks before to the institution on FRGS and so on, or that institution is something or an institution that they are going to join in the future. And then you probably know the assessors may know the PI and the PI's co-researchers and so on. So is this going to impact their evaluation? So they have to think carefully about this. If they feel so, then they can, they can transfer the proposal to another person. Relationship with authors, like I said, this is single blind, so assessors always know who you are, and they sometimes also know what you have done, who your collaborators are, your weaknesses, your strength. They know you as a person. Maybe you are their neighbors, for example, or in their peer groups and so on. So can also be people, the assessor knows the applicants, the authors, and these are people they do not like, for example. So KPT has given them training workshop to avoid from having all these, negative or bad feelings about others. So quickly, FRGS walkthrough. I think so maybe another few minutes, but this is a long process. But just to show you an example of successful proposal written very nicely, very cleanly. For example, This is an application that came in 2020. You see, the title has been refined by the internal assessors from a long title to a shorter title, and the PI seems to have, concurred with the assessor, internal assessor, and they have modified the proposal, and I think that helped in making that title clearer and more, reflective of the project. And then the list of collaborators and what they're going to do, the PI, these are the co-researchers. You also have to identify your next appointed leader in case you have to leave. Make sure you have a collaborator somewhat in your area, in the same university, in UiTM. Because if you have to go somewhere else or leave or take sabbatical, then you have to transfer the PI ship to this person. So make sure this person also has some kind of resemblance to what you're doing, not somebody who is doing totally different areas from the project. And your content of your previous research, for example, nicely done, nicely seen, is all created from your profile, yeah. And academic publication from your profile again, list them down, as much as you can. If you're a master's holder, for example, you don't have much to show, even your master's thesis, you can write the title there, something that you've done. And then the summary, as mentioned earlier, the 5 elements must be there. So if you start quickly with the problem statement, the quicker the problem statement, the better for you, because the assessors will not want to read too long into the summary to try to locate the problem statement. So this will be quite tedious for them. So as they read your abstract second statement already, they can see the problem statement. I think that's the good executive summary. All right. Then you have a part under research background where you can expand that problem statement. So don't worry. Yeah. And when you expand the problem statement, then you can put in some data and references related to them. If you want to do hypothesis, you can write hypothesis in many ways, several ways. You can write in a null hypothesis format or statement, but use the usual hypothesis writing type of your research area. Questions, there are 4 questions here, research questions, will be followed by 4 objectives later. Under literature review, you can have sub-themes, for example, to make it clearer, the review clearer. So you have sub-themes. And then relevance to the government policy as much as possible. You want to highlight how many government agencies are going to benefit. So be extensive here, it's okay. Relate to policies of different ministries. This is possible. So references, don't forget, have to be updated and recent references. Most of them don't have too many of old references. Yeah. Then objectives, the 4 objectives here, seen to complement the 4 research questions previously mentioned. And methodology is done in a very descriptive manner with subtopics and also even figures included. Yeah. This helps the assessors to see through the process. And sample size calculation, meaning is put here, the output from the calculation using the formula. So this again gives confidence to the assessor that this has been done correctly. And then roles and responsibilities of each researcher also re-mentioned here, fine. Then activity, you can have several activities, and this is summarized into more refined or more or smaller number of milestones which are significant, and use this word completion of this milestone so that it's easier that at that point in time all these have been achieved. Yeah, so don't leave it like general statement, but make it a completion or done by that time. This process has been done, completed. Novel theories findings, again, highlight. Yeah, this is, like I said, important to show the fundamental nature of your work and how they're going to impact the quintuple helix now mentioned. For publication, I think just limit to 2 as per requested. You don't have to promise too many, but if you have the journal that you are eyeing to publish in, you can put the journal's name and even, the title if you want. If you have a postgraduate student, for example, you have the names already, you can put in potential. And budget, again, like I said, as much as possible, be detailed in the budget, don't just put one line that you are traveling, but as much as possible, try to plan already the traveling and also the cost, because this again shows meticulous nature of your proposal, detailed budget, yeah. Also, you're buying consumables, put 27,000. You've got the quotation from the supplier, you can list down the items that you wish to purchase. Of course, this is not comprehensive or exhaustive. You can still, buy other things, but this is just to show that your plan is quite down to details. Yeah? So again, this is to give confidence to the assessors that you've done lots of homework. You are a person who is committed and you're passionate about carrying through this project. Yeah. 29,000, again, specify what you actually will want to do and the costs. You can put in your publication fee if you want here. But again, amount is about, up to 15,000, I think. So the final is about 35,000 normally for asset. If you need to buy an equipment, an item, an instrument, you still can, but normally don't, should not be of too high value, maybe about 30 to 40,000 max for asset. Yeah. Asset has a maximum of 40% of your total budget, but normally I've seen them supporting asset of 30 to 40,000. So again, back to budget briefly, for salary, you can maintain now, like for PhD at 2,500 a month, for 36 months, about 90,000 is there. If masters, then 2,300 a month. Then the total amount for 2 years, you can calculate and put it there. Traveling, I think overall about 15,000 will be okay. And for if you have to travel to do fieldwork, you have to separate your conference travel and also fieldwork travel. But for fieldwork travel, you can add a bit more from like 15 to 20,000. Your consumables, normally for lab-based work, this part will not be touched that much. You can apply for a lot of money here if you need the money to buy your consumables. I've seen proposals about 70, 80, 90,000 just for this vote. Professional, I think about 30,000, 30 to 40,000 is reasonable, or less, better. And like I said, for asset, vote 35,000, about, between 20 to 40,000. Collaborator is good to have a letter from your collaborator. Again, I mentioned earlier, letter of intent. As much as possible, go for industry collaborator. Otherwise, community collaborator or even lesser importance, basically, government agencies. Yeah. And then do your patent search as per prescribed. Write a bit about the patent search that you've done, a narrative, and then you can also upload the results of your search. And finally, you want to do the risk assessment. Yeah. And this analysis, again, you can mention briefly as a narrative. What are the expected technical or timing or budget hitch that you may face? And then you have to fill out this in this format, whether they're low timing, whether they're medium or budget, or low, medium, or high risk. Avoid high risk as much as you can. Low, medium, I think they're acceptable. Yeah? So basically, the take-home message here is what do you want to write for a winnable proposal, FRGS? Always make sure that your project is fundamental. Whether it's in S&T, social sciences, management, there is some fundamental aspect to it that you can try to discover. Fundamental in social science may go down to behavioral change, for example, in management, up to, measure of something, still try to measure things that seems to be unmeasurable, for example. So go down to some basics, some theories that you think can be changed. For example, novel, again, as much as possible, not done elsewhere, but even done elsewhere, not yet many from the patent search, not many interest in that area. And the write-up must be impeccable. Very little or no silly mistakes in the write-up. So it has to be done and then reviewed and re-reviewed several times before you actually submit to RMC for internal reviewing. So if you work as a team together, some people will write on certain parts, others on other parts, and then you come together, review, and then ask another party to re-review until you get a very good proposal. If you need to come to me, I will try as much as I can. Of course, time is limited, but if I have a proposal, we will try to spend some time and improve on your proposal. Certain things that have been mentioned, there are already guides that you can use in preparing a winnable proposal. Yeah. Just before I complete this presentation, this is I think the mantra that we use at RMC normally. For any grant, especially FRGS, if you submit, definitely you may get FRGS 2023. 1 in 4, 1 in 5, even sometimes 1 in 3. Because we know the money is there, 300 million plus, so a lot of money. Although may not be all for FRGS, they're gonna use a portion of the money for FRGS, but the money is there. But if you don't submit at all, definitely there's no way you can get the grant. So that's very clear. Yeah? You submit, you may get. You don't submit, definitely you will not get. You will not be part of that successful list of FRGS 2023 applicants to be issued by RMC in the coming months. So don't think your name will ever be there. But if you submit and pray, make dua, your name may be in that list. So let's work together. Jom Pakat submit, because it takes the whole team to get your FRGS proposal done well, inshallah. So I wish you all the best. Again, if you need any other advice or discussion, you can always email me, or if we have time, we can sit down and talk about your proposal. So Dr. Joe, thank you very much. That's all I have to say up to this point. But if there are any questions or suggestions, we can discuss further. Thank you.
Okay, thank you Yang Berbahagia Profesor Datuk Abu Bakar. Okay, very extensive talk about FRGS. Datuk, may I ask if you have time, because I know you are in India, you have a lawatan kerja sana. So do you still can entertain in few questions, Datuk?
Sure, boleh. Masih ada masa.
Okay.
Kat sini baru pukul 8 pagi.
Oh, dapat bagi. Okay, Datuk. Thank you. Okay, if there any question from researcher, you can unmute yourself and then you can ask question. But before that, I still remember the mantra. I think I joined UiTM 2007, and then 2010, Datuk was the director or assistant PNC at IRDC last time. And then there was Cik Mus, okay. I think I still remember the word. Okay, tak hantar memang tak dapat terus. I think that word always Cik Mus. I think Cik Mus last during that time is orang kanan Datuk lah masa tu. Tak hantar confirm tak dapat. So let's try. But if we want to try, then make sure we try to improve the quality also. Okay, so a bit from me. So is there any question from the audience? You can unmute yourself and then introduce yourself and ask Dato.
Okay, hi, Dr. Johari, I have a question. Good, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Yang Berbahagia Professor Dato. My name is Azra Tilai. I'm from UiTM Cawangan, Sarawak, Samarahan. I've just joined UiTM actually yesterday, so this is my second day. So I have a question. I have two questions actually. Because I just joined UiTM, so there's my ID I can only get it 2 months, I think. So and then I have a few colleagues that are trying to get FRGS. I think they told me that the window is going to close soon. So they asked me if I could ask in this session today to Dato, how can I register myself if I do not have the ID? And then the second question is about the training hours. Also, how to register for that if I don't have the ID yet.
Okay, thank you, Azra. What I can comment on your just joining and also attending this meeting, this talk in this morning, I say you've started on the right move, with the right move lah, on the right track by attending this. Thank you. But the two questions should be answered by Dr. Joe. Actually, this is administrative question. So
Okay.
RMC, Dr. Joe, please assist Azra.
Dr. Azra,
Yes.
regarding your first question, I think if you look at the condition, syarat FRGS tu, nanti kan mestilah lebih 6 bulan untuk membolehkan seseorang tu memohon FRGS. Jadi untuk Dr. Azra saya cadangkan, kalau ada projek apa semua, boleh collaborate dengan orang lain dulu.
Okay.
Dan nanti kalau dah lebih 6 bulan, boleh cuba mohon untuk pertukaran ketua. Okay, sebab kita ada kes yang di mana memang dia baru 2 bulan, just 2 months join UiTM, so cannot. So the system allow, but we afraid that at KPT level, okay, they will detect this what called problem and then reject all the information because they will think that RMC not do the what called the penaziran meticulously. Second question, okay, you need to contact the secretariat. Okay, the attendance form will be shared later. And then I have one announcement because Datuk mentioned that we need to update the profile. So sure, okay, I agree with Datuk. And then, okay, after you update your profile, so you need verification from RMC. So for those that just update your profile, you can contact Encik Haris. Okay, I share the number in the chat, 55448259, okay, for verification. If you not verify, you cannot submit, okay, your proposal. And then the closing date for at university level is next week, 8 March. So beware, be careful, beware and take into your account. Okay, make sure you click submit. It's happened to me in 2015. I prepare everything, and then I just forgot to change into complete and then submit to the UiTM. So make sure you click submit and you change draft into complete. Sorry, okay. Is there any other question?
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Johari, and also thank you, Prof. Dato, for the insightful sharing.
Thank you, Azra. We wish you all the best as a staff of UiTM. Please focus on research, which will push you, also of course teaching and learning, but with research, it will push you very quickly up your career ladder. Yeah? Okay.
Dato, there are one question in the chat box.
Yeah, okay, I can see the question. Thank you. Regarding the level of fundamental, of course, Faiza, in your area, in your subject matter, you must know that you have to go deep into the subject, deep into the topic that you intend to investigate. Is going deeper, that's fundamental. Mana nak cari sebab, cari how and why things happen the way they happen. Yeah. So that's fundamental. You want to go into the, mungkin kalau biological, the mechanism at the molecular level, for example. Kalau social, mungkin why people, what makes people driven towards that, the mind aspect, for example, the psychological aspect, for example. Maybe in business, you want to see the, fundamental factors that lead to some changes, some numbers, some numbers changing, inflation rate, for example. So you want to go very deep into the subject. Like I said, it may not solve the big picture straight away, but it gives understanding of maybe one little problem that has a reason, you know. So is that okay? Meaning in your subject matter, you want to go very much down to earth, down to the level of how or why this happens. Okay, always in your mind have these two questions: how, why. Then that is fundamental research. Yeah. Okay.
Another question atas tu, okay, what is the best language used in the writing proposal? Does using Malay language can hinder the research proposal being accepted?
With regard to language, it doesn't matter actually. You can write in English or you can write in Malay, but again, both have to be meticulous. Even in Malay, write nicely and write comprehensively. Boleh je, in Malay or in English. And then on the question of previous proposals submitted, I think this is quite common question. If you submitted and major amendments, I think forget about it. Think of something new. Even with minor, sometimes you need to forget about the proposal. Think about something new, new approach. I'm sure there are plenty of other angles that you can look at from the same problem that you have tried before. All right. So, Rosaini, please don't dwell into the failed proposal. Think of something new and new approach, a new kata beginning lah, basically. All right.
Okay, sebelum itu I have additional information from Secretariat. Okay, the Secretariat like to inform that for FRGS the IP is not compulsory, so you can write 0. But if you write 1, 2, or 3, okay, that become your KPI, then you must fulfill the KPI. Okay, so it's okay to put 0. Is it okay? Okay.
Yeah, for IPR, I mean for FRGS, you don't need to promise anything. You don't have to promise. If you see not possible to get any IP, just don't put yes. You can put 0 or nil. Yeah.
Okay, Dato. Question from Dr. Dayang. Usually, what kind of highly indexed journal that the panel prefer to approve the research proposal? Is there any guideline for the impact factor, Dato, for the mentioned journal in the proposal?
No, depends on the assessors, but I think journals in your area that are considered to be, I would think, let's say, think about the Q1 macam tu lah, yeah, Q1. Or if you're brave enough, 10% top, for example. Impact factor, yalah, don't worry. But of course, you may not want to promise too high impact factors if you are just beginning. For example, if you are, master researcher, okay for you to promise high impact, 5 and above for impact factor, for example. But if you're new, don't worry. 2, 3 impact factors are okay. But most importantly, journals in your particular area, not generic or journals outside the area. Okay, so reasonable 3, 4 impact factors good enough for the WOS. Yeah.
Okay, Dato, there are 2 questions I think that related. Maybe I can read for Dato from Dr. Iza and Dr. Noh Hidayah. Dr. Iza, for Dato, for those who never secure FRGS before, what is the chances of getting this grant? From my experience, if the one never had grant before, there is less chances no matter how good is the proposal. Or the second question from Dr. Noh Hidayah. Assalamualaikum, Dato. Is there any advice for novice researcher, no experience applying FRGS before, just graduated and gain PhD from social science field? I think maybe this is a bit related answer for, I think, the newcomer to apply or those who not successful before.
Okay, Dr. Isa again.
Isa.
I think if you have never gotten FRGS, actually it doesn't matter whether you have been recipient or you've been unsuccessful previously. When you play this FRGS 2023, you really start fresh, 0 beginning. It's equal prospect and equal chance for everyone. Sama je, tak ada beza, tak ada one is better than the other. They say in football, every time kalau you tengok EPL kan, football, Arsenal lawan Liverpool ke, Manchester City lawan Manchester United ke, they say every game is a new ball game. Whatever happens previously has no bearing whatsoever. People can do percentage of success this time or last time, but when they play the new game, it's totally new opportunities. So, Dr. Isa, don't worry, you've not been successful before. Tak ada rekod yang mengatakan orang yang berjaya dulu selalu dapat. No, everyone has the same equal chance of winning the FRGS 2023. Yeah. And regarding tadi newbie lah, just got PhD. I think one way, Hidayah, what you can do, see your PhD thesis kan. Dalam tu biasanya kita ada sebut future recommended research kan. From what you have done kan, dalam last page tu kita sebut recommended future research, for example. So that can be the basis for your FRGS now. Tapi make that fundamental. Okay, you dah ada bahan kat situ. You have your research background, easy to write proposal if you just completed your PhD, because you got your background from PhD to research background tu, literature review tu boleh guna balik kan. So your orang kata preparation will be shortened or shortcut. So look at your recommended. Hopefully they relate dengan some of the government's emphasis or government punya priority areas. So rewrite into very fundamental aspect, and then with the literature review already available in your thesis, that will shorten or hasten your preparation of proposal. Okay, so there you must try. Need help, please come talk to us. Social science ada a few very experienced FRGS recipients. Discuss with them at the faculty. Ada lagi mereka terlepas yang atas tu, Dr. Jo?
Tak apa, saya check tu. Cuma ada dua soalan, Datuk, saya rasa saya boleh tolong jawab kan. How many members in one research project? I think this one is I think ground the fundamental syarat tu kena baca. There's one leader, 5 member, and then you need to assign next appointed leader like Datuk share with us just now. So one PI and then 5 member. And then from Nurul, Dr. Nurul, Assalamualaikum Dr. Nurul, who do we need to contact if we do have technical problem with migrant website? Time data. Okay, so technical, we need to look at the situation. First, you can contact RMC, you can contact this number, or if involve higher level, we need to contact Encik Ikhlas at capital level. Encik Ikhlas. Maybe you can WhatsApp me after this. I can share the number for you, Dr. Nurul. Okay, and then there are another question to TS Dr. Rabiatul Abu Bakar. What is the logical capping for the budget that involve field work, data collection, and some new asset need?
Okay, untuk tadi ada ambil Dr. Tan punya questions dulu kat atas tu, tadi kita tertinggal. Dr. Tan Su Keng kan, regarding previous proposal commended as good in overall but not recommended, not national, is it worth to try? I think not worth to try. Again, Dr. Tan, think about new prospect. Like I said, if you read the budget document, which can be shared with you from RMC, tadi I passed to Secretariat. You look through the budget, there are new things that have been mentioned. Maybe you want to look into these new areas. So forget about, I would think, frankly, in FRGS, if they say it's a near miss, and don't believe in that. There's no such thing as near miss. Always total miss. If you don't get mana total miss, start fresh. Think about something new. If they don't support, there must be a reason why they not supporting. It's not really about not enough money and so on. It's just that the proposal is not good enough. Yeah. So revise, improve. Don't worry. Maybe this time you'll be lucky. Yeah. Then tadi balik pada Dr. pada Rabiatul kan, logical capping. Okay, I mentioned earlier, normally for travel, they allow both national and international conference. So national maybe about, don't be too much like you travel local, maybe 2,000-3,000 would be enough. For international, maybe going further than ASEAN, maybe you can ask for about 10,000-12,000 kan. And for data collection also depends how many times you're going to local or regional. Then if you want to do that, you can detail out where you're traveling, flight ke mana dan mana. Then you can add on. And for data collection, maybe you want to include also rental of cars and vehicles that you need to use when you're doing your data collection. So vote on rental pun vote 24 tu pun put in some money there. Okay. Tak ada cap sangat tapi reasonably people total kat situ. I think kat situ travelling now Joe ada cap ya. Total not more than 20% of total budget, I think, something like that. So not too much lah. But as a guide, about maximum 20,000 for travelling conference and also travelling data collection, reasonable lah, 20K.
Tu ada Puan Syuhada yang jaga operasi respon tu 20% local, 20% overseas untuk
Okay.
travelling.
So for Dr.
Next.
Rizwan,
Dr. Rizwan.
multidiscipline and inter-university. Multidiscipline is encouraged, of course, tak apa, boleh. Tapi the person next in line to take over tu must be in your area. And then inter-universities, yes, also encouraged. You can include a researcher from another university, yeah. And you can also do part of your work. If you cannot find equipment in UiTM, for example, you can outsource to that university. That is allowed. Yeah, that is encouraged, but that's not primary lah. That is encouraged. Yeah. Then Jenna, to be considered, it's important that at least one of the members is a PhD holder. What if the team comprise those on the way to PhD? Can the members also play important parts in football terms, midfield strikers? Oh, so this is also a football lover, yeah. Macam ni. PhD holder, yes, I think if you have a 3-year project, then you need a PhD holder to be the supervisor. So in that case, you do need a PhD holder. And also they will look at your team balance. Yeah? Good to have, if you're a junior, then a bit of senior person. Again, not as passenger, but somebody who's going to contribute to your project. Yeah. The team, those on the way to PhD, again, that's why I said, okay, if you're doing PhD yet, like full time, of course you're not eligible to apply, but if you're doing part time, then you can. But it's always good to have I think a more senior, like a PhD holder, in case you need to supervise a PhD, or even masters is good for the PhD to supervise the masters. So please include one PhD holder in your proposal. Yeah.
Okay, is there any more question? I think we have go through all the question in the chat box. If there is any question that you can unmute yourself and then ask Datuk directly. Okay, maybe last call. If there any question from the participant.
Any further question, Dr. Joe, boleh email saya in the chat.
Okay,
Yeah.
Datuk ada share email dalam chat book, chat semua. Okay, ada soalan satu.
Yeah, international collaborators boleh. You can, get your professor or your collaborator to be included in my grants through RMC nanti. So when the name is there, you can, include the name in your proposal. That helps, but that not really crucial lah. It helps, but it's not crucial. If you don't have, don't worry. Dr. Noyati daripada dental ke ni?
Ya.
Sudah balik PhD ke dah itu?
Sudah.
Successfully PhD.
Alhamdulillah, siap dah.
Tahniah.
Terima
So
kasih,
good
Datuk.
reason why you should submit your PhD still fresh. You can use materials from your PhD to just, move forward.
InsyaAllah, I'm working on it. Yep.
Okey, tadi untuk Dr. Nurul yang tanya tentang technical tu. Jadi Dr. Nurul, okay, if you have problem, you can go to MyGrant website and then you can click need help. Okay, need help, and then you can refer to the direction there, instruction. What's your problem? Okay, thank you, Dr. Yani, because helping me. Okay, in terms of assessing if you have any technical problem. Okay, we have few RMA member here, Dr. Syarwayani, Timbalan Pengarah, dan Puan Syuhada daripada unit operasi. If there any other question that need to be addressed, and then from Rini also.
Just to answer Ridwan quickly, ideal to choose project top down or bottom up. I think it doesn't really matter. Yang penting dia punya fundamental tu, yeah. You can argue it is bottom up or top down, but I think in the end you have to go to the fundamental of it. Yeah. All right. Good luck, everyone. Dr. Ridwan and everyone else, participant. Thank you for attending. So I wish you all the best and thank you RMC Renew for this opportunity. Of course, you can contact me again if you need further clarification or discussion. No problem. Okay, bye everyone. Take care.
Again, from Renew